Oh, well, I stopped it. I'm going to have to... I'll figure out how to... Hopefully I can put them together, but I probably won't be able to. That's like... Oh. Okay, so I'm really going to pause it. Okay, so... in her lips she held untruth and lies, 72. Then we're getting to 79. 77. Why are you aggressive and arrogant? And 78. And strive to provoke battle. 79. The younger generation have shouted, outraging their elders. 80. But you, their mother, hold pity in contempt. 81. Kingu, you have named to be your spouse. 82. And you have improperly appointed him to the rank of anuship. 83. Against Anasar, king of the gods, you have stirred up trouble. 84. And against the gods, my fathers, your trouble is established. 85. Deploy your troops. Grid on your weapons. 86. You and I will take our stand and do battle. 87. When Tiamat heard this, 88, she went insane and lost her reason. 89. Tiamat cried about and fiercely. 90. All her lower members trembled beneath her. 91. She was reciting an incantation, kept reciting her spell. 92. We'll relieve battle, because that's imposed in there, while the gods were sharpening their weapons of war. Tiamat and Marduk, the sage of the gods, come together, joining in strife, drawing near battle. And then he spread out his net to enmesh her. He let loose the evil wind. And so this is apparently what took over her, because it went into her belly, and then that's what basically destroyed her. Okay, so it's a little confusing because who's saying it? It makes it sound like, and then the way they describe her, it just makes me so mad. So again, we come back to even with all the information, they tell us how the original deities had been removed from the mothers, the goddesses, had been removed once Marduk was then said, the ruler of the universe. And at this part, so we go before this one. They kissed one another. They're all excited. They strained and the sweet liquor through their straws, and they drank beer and felt good. They became quite carefree, their mood was merry, and they decreed the fate of Marduk, their avenger. Well, during that time where they were all getting all buzzed up, Tiamat sends her daughters, removes her own tail, sends her daughters, gets these, I believe, maybe the other 2 tablets, because of the 7 tablets of destiny, but take certain things that are the great mothers' knowledge, and they leave, and here we are. This is us. And then millennia later, Marduk finds this planet and imbues his history or his story upon the peoples. And with that, so we see this also repeated story of, the female being evil and, going insane and what? It makes me so mad. Okay. Then, is that time? Did he create a gate of time? And then we don't have the pre-story. Where's Tiamat's story? This is Tiamat's story. Tiamat's like, oh yes, I see what Marduk is doing. I'm going to create, and probably not just this one. There's probably several universes she created with her magnificent self, her goddess self. And this is, I don't know, but why just us? Why not multitudes of feminine energy? Maybe that's the Pleiadians. Maybe that's Sirius. Maybe it's Lyra. You know, we've been given pieces of his story. And it's all makes Tiamat looks not awesome. Is this familiar? This is familiar. We've heard this a jillion times, you know. Now, we will dive into, I left this part out yesterday too. So, I was talking about there's two things when it comes to the serpent in the garden. And the first one is, yes, it's talking, it's standing. It is also, we are told in the story, spewing lies, tricking Eve. It didn't trick Eve. It told Eve the truth. The truth is, you will not die, and you will gain knowledge, and you will become like the gods. It wasn't lying. And so, is this where in the story Marduk makes a deal with the humans to be in service to the gods? And sets the gods free? Free meaning that they don't know who they are. So then, Great Mother, who's already here and has been here and created this planet, is like, hey daughter, I know your father has not told you who I am, but I'm your mother, the great cosmic dragon. And he's lying to you. And then this God is like, oh, well, now you're in trouble because you didn't listen. Wait a minute. Shouldn't you be saying, okay, I tricked you guys. I wanted to see if you were still in contact with your mother. So I set you up so that your mother would show up and I could here we are, right? Because we're not told, we're not corrected in that part when we get the story about the apple and Eve in the Garden of Eden and this serpent. Because God should have said, this other God that everyone's following should have said, or in logic would have said, you're right. You weren't going to die. I just wanted to see. And that's what it was. That's basically what it's telling us. It was a test. And we failed. And now we're in trouble forever. That doesn't sound like a fair and loving God. Okay. So I wanted to and this is where, if we go with that, if we recognize the serpent was telling the truth, and then God curses this serpent to its belly and to be separated from the female and her seed. Why? Because it was telling the truth? Does that mean you're separating us from the truth? Right? Okay. So, and that's also part of it. He was not able to, you cannot destroy the creator of all things. They created you, right? And, okay, good. I was like, did I restart it? Oh, and then, yeah, I did that. Okay, the 7 doesn't really make sense in that part where he's talking about where he creates the stars and stuff. Or not creates, takes credit for the stars, takes credit for time. And is that, okay, so that brought me to some curiosity because I mentioned about the days out of time that I've noticed in the 9-day calendar to the new moon, right? Is that also, I think that's a truth in there because Great Mother created everything. So to distract from the truth, it does say created basically the year and the 12 months of, Mark Duke did that, or manipulated. I'm going to stop saying created. Manipulated what was already there. Then is there a hint to that abyss and chaos in those few days in between? Because the night is dark, but we don't call it a new moon. The night is dark. So, something that I wondered. And would this link to locking said deities away with these locks on the gates of time or the constellations? Oh, and the part about raising the deity that Marduk appointed 2 days, as the months went by, their crown got raised higher and higher. This is the masculine deity, wouldn't you say? And it says, like, without effort. As time went by, they just kept raising their. So, to me, this is where, like, deciphering our own, like, checking out these things, like, noticing, like, the Julian calendar and all these calendars. At this point, I'm really starting to see that calendars were stolen and manipulated. Marduk tells us. So, I found that interesting. I think that is everything. This wasn't meant to be a long video, and now I gotta figure out how to put the two together, but maybe this will be part 4. Okay. And, yeah. Tiamat's truth. Oh, I remember. I mentioned dragons. I mentioned Inanna with her clawed feet depiction. And the griffins. I've done a little bit of research. All the research I found is that they existed. And then now they do not. And then we have that, I mentioned how we see the picture of Archangel Michael going through Mami Wata's belly. And then we have the depiction of the Russian flag with a knight stabbing a griffin through its belly. Another form of a dragon? The beasts, flying creatures that were part of Queen Khalifa's life and military and protection? And it's illegal to talk to dolphins? I just... So, I wanted to bring that story, some clarity, and just revisit a few things that I left out yesterday in my excitement about pointing out all the differences and all the similarities and kind of the word trickery in there. So, Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to do a little more singing bowls before we go. Okay. Until next time, take care.